Hello, I'm Morris Dimba. Today we are going to continue with the part 2 of this tutorial, and we'll just get started right away here. I'll right click and interrupt just to take me off of any active command. Let me go straight to navigate under view, and I want to rotate this. I'll click on navigate, and also to rotate you can press Ctrl R, then pick a point of rotation. I'll pick that and press that, then press my left button on the mouse and hold. I'll be able to turn this round comfortably like this. Now today we are going to work on the rooftop of this canopy, and we won't take a lot of time. One just go straight and get started right away. Let me just turn this to position it in appropriate position that I'll be able to place the steel members. Now I'll get started by going straight to steel. I'll pick on steel beam, I'll pick on that, and I want to place a member here running all the way to the other end at 6 meter length. I just point on that edge, then type 6 meter on my keyboard and enter that. I'll right click and exit. The member is so big and is not the right size and the profile I prefer, so it shouldn't worry you. What you do, just double click on this and then you change the size and the profile of this steel member. The moment you double click, this beam properties will come up. The beam properties dialog box will come up. Then you go to profile and select button, then click on that. You'll be prompted with the steel catalog profile. Yes, but from this catalog profile, steel catalog profile, you'll be able to pick on the appropriate steel member that I intend to use. I want to use the CHS 50 by 50. I'll minimize this. Then I'll go to the C section, hollow section, rectangle hollow section. The CHS, you'll find them under rectangle hollow section. Then I'll come right here, pick on that, then go down here at 50 by 50 by 3 millimeter thick. I'll pick on that, then I'll click apply and give it an OK. Let me drag my clock up right there. I'll come here and click modify, apply and accept. And prior to accepting that or exiting that command or exiting the dialog box, I want to shift this member to flash with the edge of this C section. Now I'll come to position here and give it a left move command, a left move that won't work right. I'll give it a left move and that will work much better. Then I'll click on empty screen, just remove that selection. This is 6 meter full length, 6 meter, and I want to join these. I want to join them. And remember, the full length of our canopy is 30 meters, and we have here a 6 meter steel member. I want to copy this even on top here. I'll pick it from the bottom end here. I'll pick it down from bottom end here, from that spot, and zoom out. I want to place this on top of this member right there. Right click and exit by clicking interrupt. Now I want to populate this along that length, and I'll right click and come to special copy and come to linear. Then I'll just give it a command. I'll give it a distance of 6 meters. I need 5 of them, or 4, because we have one already. I'll just type 4 right there and click copy and see how it's joining itself with the rest. Right click and come to interrupt, and it has been joined. and just come here and check whether they've been placed perfectly. They've been perfectly placed. Then from here I want to place some members on top here, just still on the rooftop of our canopy. I'll come to steel beam, I'll pick steel beam. I want to place a member on top here, but I just need the guidelines first, and I'll move that member to the right position. I'll snap down here and direct my cursor up there, and I'll feed on my keyboard 950, a height of 950, and I'll enter that. I'll right click and exit that. I'll pick on that member, right click and come to move, then snap down here and move it up here. I'll move it up here. Perfect. That is the position I want to place it. Now I want to populate this. I need a number of these along this length. I'll zoom closer and highlight this. I'll select that, right click and come to special copy and come to linear. Then I want to populate this along this length. Again, I'll require 2 meters interval. I'll type 2 meters, and I need 2 meters is okay. I need how many? I need close to 12 of them, or 15. Let me close that and come to 10 or 15. 15 is a lot. Then we'll come to copy here, then go straight and click copy and give it an OK. Right click and interrupt that. I'll come here and click on that, right click and come to special copy and click that, linear, and come here and change this now. Instead of 14, change it to 1, then click copy. I'll give it an OK, right click and interrupt that. Then I'll move these closer to the edge of this member so that they will be welded together. Move it right there. Then click on empty screen to remove that selection. I'll come to view just to check on how this has been placed. I'll snap on that spot. I'll press my left button on the keyboard and hold so that I can be able to rotate this comfortably. Then again I'll pick this member here, down here, pick on it, right click and come to copy. I want to copy it up. I'll snap on that spot, then come all the way and snap right here. Snap right here, right click and interrupt that. I'll pick on that, right click and come to special copy here and come to linear again, and I'll feed here 6 meters, and I need 5 of them. I need 5. 4 is okay because we have 1 already. I'll click copy and click OK. Right click and interrupt just to exit from that command. Perfect. Now I'll close this. Now I want to place my bracings here from this end. Remember, we are still working on the top, on the rooftop of our canopy. I'll start placing our bracings. I'll start from that spot. I'll pick that. Then I'll come to view here. I'll come to navigate and rotate with the mouse. I want to rotate about that spot. I'll click on that spot and press my left button on the mouse and press and hold so that I can be able to rotate this comfortably. I want to snap right here. If you see that triangle sign means that is the middle point. I'll snap right there, then zoom out, then target this location, but I'm not able to see it. I'm not able to see through, and maneuvering around will not make things accurate. So what we'll do, just press Ctrl 2 to make these transparent, and we will be able to see through these members. I'll snap right here, right click and interrupt just to exit from that command. I'll press Ctrl 4 to take me back to the previous presentation. Come to navigate here and snap on that spot and hold and press left button on my mouse and hold to rotate this comfortably. I want to reposition this just to connect to the bottom end of this member. I'll double click here. The double clicking will bring the beam properties that will allow you to play around with the position of this member. Now I'll come to position here. I'll come to on plane under position. I'll pick middle right there and click modify, then give it apply, then accept that. I'll do the same thing here by coming to navigate, rotate using mouse and snap right there. Perfect. Next, I'll right click and come to spatial copy, then come to mirror. I'll snap here, just right here. Let me close that. I'll come to navigate, and I want to mirror this member. So I want to pick appropriate location where I'll apply my mirror. So the moment I've clicked this member, I want to mirror it, but I'll pick my mirror line. So prior to doing that, I'll come to work plane, then pick work plane tool, then pick a position where I want to place my work plane. I'll snap right here, right click and come to interrupt. Then I'll right click again, come interrupt again just to exit from the previous command. I'll come back again and click on it, right click and come to spatial copy, then come to mirror. I'll zoom closer. I'll zoom closer to pick a point here that will act as my mirror line. I'll snap right here, snap right there, and run all the way to the bottom end of this member to create a mirror line. I'll snap right here, then come here and pick and click copy and give it an OK, right click and click interrupt to exit. Now we can check whether this has mirrored perfectly. It hasn't mirrored perfectly, and we have to do that once again. I'll click on it, right click and click delete. Now I'll come back here and pick on this member, and I want to pick the midpoint of this member to act as our mirror line. So the moment I've picked on it, I'll right click and come to spatial copy and pick mirror. Now I'll zoom closer just to be accurate in picking the midpoint. I'll pick on the midpoint. The midpoint will notify the midpoint by the triangle, then orange triangle symbol appearing on a particular position. So that is the midpoint of this member. I'll pick on that location. I'll snap on that, then run all the way down here and pick on a similar position right here. I'll click right there and I'll come here and click copy. Then I'll give it an OK and right click just to exit from that command. I'll come here and check. You'll see it has meshed, or it has connected perfectly. Now what we're going to do just to create a weld connection here. I'll snap right there and press my left button on the mouse and rotate this. just to bring it to a position that will be able to perform a weld perfectly. I'll come to applications and component here. I'll click here, then on this search space I'll type weld. Just type weld, then I'll use this type of weld, stanchion weld 85, numerically named 85. Then I want to weld this to this member. I'll pick on that and pick on this. Let's see whether the weld will be created perfectly. It hasn't been created perfectly. I want to weld this to that and weld this to this one. Then I want to weld this member to this member. It has been welded. Then I want to weld this to that. Perfect. Then this one to this one. Is not the right procedure. Weld that to that. Then weld this to this. Perfect. Now I'll right click, just remove all these active macro symbols. I'll right click and I'll click on empty screen, then right click and come to redraw. Just remove all these things. From here again I'll pick on this and pick on this. I'll right click and come to special copy, and I want to populate this along this 30-meter length of our canopy, and take into account that from this end to this end is 2 meters, then from here to here is 2 meters. Now I'll use a distance of 4 meters here, distance of 4 meters. And how many do we want? We'll use 5 of them, or 6. Let's use 6. Then prior to populating that, make sure you are sure of the direction you intend to populate these members to. We want to use the x-axis, and we fed 4 meters here. And how many we want? We want 6 of these. I'll go ahead and click copy and give it an OK, and check whether it has been performed to our preference. One is left, and what we'll do, just we'll come here, we'll come to this one, pick on it, right click and come to special copy here and pick linear, then give it a 4 meter linear copy. We need 1 and click copy. Give it an OK right here, and we'll close this. This has no use for us now, and it has copied, but not in appropriate location. Not in appropriate location. This has copied well, but is not linking properly with the top end here. What we'll do, we can either leave it at that position, or we can make it look like other members. Now what we'll do, we'll just click on it, right click and come to delete. Then we'll perform that once again and do a perfect welding. I'll come here again and come to beam and pick on that, then snap at the bottom end here and snap right there, then zoom out and target the bottom end of this top member. I'll come to view here, I'll come to navigate and rotate with mouse, and I want to rotate about this spot. I'll click on that spot, then press my left button on the mouse and hold and turn this round like this. It will be able to rotate perfectly without a lot of hustling around. Then I'll snap down there. I'll right click and exit. It has placed it perfectly, but not, the position is not appropriate. Now we have to play around with it, with the position, till it is located in a preferred location or a preferred point. I'll double click on that member, then under this beam properties I'll be able to play around with this member until it is positioned in the right position. So when we perform a weld, it will be able to weld it will be able to be welded to the right member. Now I'll come to position right here, then come to middle. I'll give it a right position move. It is not the right move. I'll come to depth plane. I'll give it front. I'll give it middle. Middle is the appropriate one, and that is the right position. I'll come to apply and give it an OK here. Then come to navigate and give it and rotate using mouse and pick the position I intend to rotate this model about. I'll rotate about that spot, then press my left button on the mouse and hold. Now what we're going to do now is just weld this member to this bottom member, then weld this part to this member. I mean this to this. Now I'll come back to applications and component and pick weld. Then I want to weld this to that, and weld this one, this bottom member, and this. Perfect. I right click and come to redraw just to refresh everything. I'll close that now, then come to navigate. I want to rotate this so that we can have a closer look at it. This is what we've created, and what we want to do now is just to copy it to the other side. I'll press Control and pick on all this, pick on all these, pick on all this, because the same thing will be down at the other end, so there's no need of doing starting the same process we've done here. The other end, we just have to copy all these to the other section. I'll select all these like this. Pick on this, pick on that, pick on that, pick on this member, pick on that member, pick on that, and this one also, till every member we intend to copy on the other side has been selected. And I think it's not that difficult job to pick on this. If you intend to learn something from this tutorial, pick on that, pick on this, pick on that, and this one, and the last one is that. I'll zoom out to check whether what I've picked is right. I don't intend to pick a wrong member and be copied on the other side. Now what I'm going to do, I'll right click and come to copy here. I'll pick copy, and I want to pick this selection from a point. I want to pick it from this position here. I want to pick it from this position, from that position, and so just zoom out and take it all the way to the other end. I'll zoom out and I'll target this position here, this edge, and snap right there. Perfect. I'll right click and exit by clicking interrupt. Now I'll come to navigate just to check whether this has positioned itself properly against these members running vertically. I'll right click again and click on empty screen, and right click again and come to redraw to refresh everything, or just to clean up and to remove those symbols of active macros. Now the one thing that you should never forget is every process you've made, make sure you save your work. You click save there. Then the next move, we want to go to this end. Now what we are going to do, we want to place a member here that will have a similar height with these bracings. Now I'll come again to steel here. I'll come to steel beam here and pick a beam. Then I want to snap here at the bottom end here. I'll snap right here. Make sure you snap on the accurate position. I'll snap right here, and I'll direct my cursor up here, and I'll feed. This is the size of this member is 50 by 50, so plus the size plus the height of this member, this is 950, making it a meter. Now what I'll enter here is a meter. I'll enter 1 meter, I'll enter 1 meter, and enter on my keyboard right there. I'll use 1 meter, double click on that member and give it a position. I'll take it to middle, left, right. Is not right. Give it up and down. I want to place it accurately with this one, so that when I populate it on that direction, it will be able, they will appear in a same line and a straight line. So I have to play with its position under these column properties. Now to play around with it, or to play around with its position, you have to use this vertical rotation and horizontal positioning under position and under column properties. Now I'll come back to horizontal. I'll pick left. I'll come here and apply and give it an OK. I'll right click here and come to special copy. I'll click linear, and taking into account this side is 12 meters, and I have 4 meters here. So I want to populate these, I want to maintain this interval of 2 meters on the other end. Now I'll feed here 2 meters, and how many do we want? We want 6 of them, but since we have 1, we'll feed 5 of them. I'll go ahead and click OK, but prior to invoking that command of linear copy, make sure you know the direction where the XYZ axis is heading to. It is pointing on the Z axis, since we changed the orientation of our XYZ axis when we were making this. It's pointing, the Y axis pointing up, and the X axis is pointing in that direction. Now the Z axis is facing this direction and that direction. What will work for us now, we'll change this Z axis to 0, then come to Z axis and feed 2 meters here, and we'll go straight away and click copy. Give it an OK, right click and interrupt just to exit from that command. This is what we wanted, and it has been placed. Now from here I'll come back to steel beam and pick on that. Then I want a member that will run all the way from this end, full length of 12 meters. Full length of 12 meters, but let's delete this one. Let's delete that. We would want it to duplicate itself in an appropriate position. I'll pick on that spot and rotate that. Let me pick on this spot here. Come to steel beam. I'll snap right there. And I want to just to snap there and give it an orientation or direction in that direction, and feed 12 meters. 12 meters. I'll enter on my keyboard, right click and exit. I'll come here, right click and click move. I'll pick it from this spot and join it with this member. Then it will run right on the top of these small columns or small members, these ones here. I'll come on this on this side, and I'll trim off part that is running off our parameters. I'll come to edit here, I'll come to polygon, I'll snap right here, I'll pick on the member to trim, I'll snap right there and snap here and snap at the corner here and snap at the corner here also, then come to my initial spot, and that will be trimmed perfectly. And I'll right click on empty screen, right click and come to redraw just to refresh everything. I've trimmed off that part. Now I want to place my bracings here. I'll come to view, I'll come to navigate, I rotate with mouse, and I want to rotate it about that spot and turn it round by pressing my left button and hold, then come to steel again, I'll come to steel beam again, I pick on that, I want to snap right at the bottom here, snap at the bottom there. I'll come to view, my command is still active, and I want to rotate this part so that I can access it without any blockage. I'll snap right there, but it's slightly off the position I intend to place it. Now what I'll do, I'll come back to it and double click on it. Then under these beam properties dialog box, I'll be able to reposition it in the right to I'll be able to reposition it to let it connect properly, or allow any welding connection to this member be perfectly done. Now I'll come to position here, then I'll come to on plane and click middle and click apply, or modify, apply and accept that. We'll do same thing here by mirroring. We'll mirror this by invoking a mirror command or by creating a mirror line. And prior to doing that, we have to change the position or reorient our work plane tool. I'll come to work plane tool under view. I'll click on that drop down arrow, then come to work plane tool right here. I'll pick on work plane tool, then place it right there. I'll right click and interrupt just to end that work plane tool command. Then again I'll zoom out just to check whether our selection of the part we want to mirror is still active. Then I'll go ahead and right click and come to special copy and come to mirror, then pick a mirror line. We'll pick a mirror line here on this member. We'll pick that point to be a starting point of our mirror line, and we want our mirror line to end at the bottom center of this. Pick that, then we'll go straight and click copy and click OK by accepting what has been done already here. Then let me zoom closer and rotate this and check whether this has been done perfectly. No, it isn't. It's not perfectly done. It's not perfectly done, and we'll do this again, but not by doing a mirror command. Reason being, this distance is not equal to this distance. That is the reason why this member is shorter, is not reaching far end of this member. Now what we'll do, we'll just go straight away to steel and pick steel beam here, then snap right at the bottom end here, then we try and locate this part by pressing Ctrl 2 just to make this transparent for us to be able to see the point we intend to place this member. We'll place it right there, right click and exit, then press Ctrl 4 to take us back where we were. Now we want to do same thing this end. we'll come to applications and component and pick that we want to weld this member to this member. It has been done perfectly, not perfectly done. This member to that member is not perfect. Want to weld this to that and this to that. Not perfectly done. Not done so well, not, it's poorly done. Now I'll click on this, right click and click delete that. Now the connection, the welding connection is not perfect. I'll pick on it again and change the member connection. I'll snap at the bottom here and zoom out and target this member. I'll press Ctrl 2. I'll be able to snap right here. I'll snap right there. Right click and come to interrupt just to end that selection. I want to weld this member to this member, not the top one. Now I'll double click on it to reposition it. To change its position, I'll come to position right there and give it a left move. Right there, I want these two to be welded to this member. Now when I come to applications and component and I want to weld this to that and weld this to that, I'll come back and work on that. I'll come here and weld this one to this one. Then I'll close this. I'll come back to it later on. I'll close this again. I'll click on empty screen and right click and come to redraw. Now again I'll do the same thing. Come to steel beam, pick on that, snap on that spot. I'll pick on that spot, right click and exit that. I'll undo that. I'll press Ctrl R on my keyboard and pick that position as my rotation point and press my left button on the mouse, right click and exit, then come to beam again, pick on the beam, then snap the right at the bottom, right at the top there, then target the bottom end of this member. Come here, pick on that, rotate that, right click and exit, then snap at the bottom here. Make sure you snap on the appropriate location or the accurate position. Right click and exit that. Do the same thing on this end. This is not perfect. Let's check this. This is not perfect. Click on that, right click and exit that. Exit that, right click and delete that. Now I'll click on this, right click and come to special copy and pick linear, and I want to populate this on an x-axis. I'll change that to 0. I'll change this to 1 meter. 2 meters. Change that to 2 meters, and I need just 2 of these. And click copy. I'll click OK. Right click and interrupt that. Not perfect. I'll undo that and right click again and do just the same thing. Click on that, and I want to change this to 4 meters. 4 meters. I will need 1 and click OK. I'll click OK right there and exit that. Then I'll come to navigate here and pick on that spot and rotate this member. I'll come to navigate here. I want to rotate this from that spot and turn it round like that. Right click and exit, then come to steel beam, pick on that spot, snap right here. Snap right there. Make sure you're accurate in picking the position. Then zoom out, come to view, come to navigate, rotate with mouse. Then I want to rotate about that spot, turn it round by pressing your left button on the mouse, right click and exit, and pick the right position here, right there. Perfect. And do that and exit that. Now I want to do a welding. I want to join this member by welding. I'll come to applications and component here, and I'll type weld. I'll pick on the weld, and I want to weld this to that, and I want to weld this member to this member. Right click and exit, right click again and redraw. Then what we'll do again, we'll pick on this member, we'll pick on that member, right click and come to special copy and pick linear. Then we'll just do the similar thing. We'll click that and click OK. It has been copied here. The next thing we want to do, you want to copy this one. Right click and come to special copy, come to linear, pick on that and give it a 4. Click OK. Give it OK. Then zoom out and check whether it has been done properly. It hasn't been properly done. Click that and delete the welding symbol and do the welding properly. Pick on that, want to weld this member to that member. Zoom out and check the welding position. Now it is done and perfectly well. I'll come to navigate and rotate with mouse and pick that position and turn it round and check whether everything is perfectly well. I'll click on empty screen, then right click and redraw this. Then we want to copy these members. Pick on that member, pick on this member, pick on that member, that and this one. Then zoom out, just zoom in and press Ctrl, pick on these members and that member, that and this one. Zoom out again and pick on the members we want to copy on the other end. Right click and pick copy. Then we'll pick the right position where we intend to copy this member to. We'll pick this position here, this position right there, then zoom out to the other end. Or we can just copy this at 30 meters. But let's just copy it manually like this, then zoom out at the end of this member. Then we'll snap right here. Perfect. Right click and come to interrupt, then click on empty screen, then right click and come to redraw. Perfect. And everything has been copied. We'll come to navigate here and rotate with mouse, and this is what has come out, and this is what we were trying to create. I was going step by step and a bit I was slowing my speed just to give you the time to see what I'm doing and be able to learn something than going at high speed and getting nothing at all. Now this is what we've created. I'll come to navigate and click on that and rotate that. This is what we've created. Now we'll wind up at this position or at this point, and prior to winding up, and I'll just rotate this for you to see the actual thing or the actual work we've done. This is what we've done. So the next tutorial will be working again on the rooftop of our canopy. Now we'll be laying out the purlins on how for the placement of our iron sheets, and placing the purlins will consider the provisions for our gutters, which will be placed right in the middle of these two beams, and that will go step by step until we get to the drawing generation or assembly and fabrication drawings creation of this canopy. We'll wind on that spot, and let's meet on the next presentation. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm your presenter, Morris Dimba, and let's meet on the next presentation, and bye bye.